Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I am so excited. I can't sit in my she shed because it's a greenhouse in Las Vegas. I can't sit here during the summer, so I'm always having to find some other spot to broadcast from and to work from. And it's finally cooled off enough that I can be out here in the morning. Another week or so, I'll probably be able to be out here all day long, and this is my favorite space in the whole world. Last week I talked about purpose and vision, and this was a vision I had about 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, excuse the fly. I am outside, so you're going to hear dogs barking. You might hear an airplane come over the top and flies. But I had a vision, and I posted a video. Oh, it's been 3 years ago about my vision for my she shed and what I wanted for my backyard. So being able to step into my vision and it be a part of me is really something really special. So I'll post that video so you guys can see it, because first of all, it's kind of a hoot, and second of all, I'm not quite sure I believed it was going to turn out as well as it did. So, well, this is week 6 headed to my 70th birthday, and what a week it's been. Last weekend, when I I'm so sorry. I did the video. I was in Carlsbad, California with my sister and my cousin. And let me tell you, I don't know what kind of relationship you guys have with your family, but the three of us, my cousin's mother and my mother, they had 2 other sisters. There was 4 sisters altogether. And they had a reputation that of having a lot of fun. Let's just put it that way. And so we posted a couple of pictures on our Facebook pages, and just to assure our cousins and our aunt and uncle that are still alive that we're carrying on the tradition in a big way. So thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Debbie, for such an incredible weekend. And then I was going to be doing some work in LA, and I had taken my little dog, Miss C, who I really wanted to travel with me. And unfortunately, she breaks out. And I was in LA for all of one day after the weekend. And on Tuesday morning, I had to drive back to Vegas because she was itching and losing her hair. So she is not going to be leaving. I tried it one more time, thinking maybe that the solution I had put together might work, but it didn't. So I'm back in Vegas for a few days, and really relishing actually where I am right now. And I've really done a lot of reflection this week. I'm getting ready for my retreat in Mexico, and this retreat, it means the world to me. I've done like 4 or 5 of them now, and it's made me think about myself and where I've come from, and what an incredible journey the last 7 years have been. For those of you that don't know, I lost my husband 7 years ago. And I tried to go back to my old life, which my life philosophy was work, 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 play. Work, 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 play. And after about 6 weeks of him being gone, I decided the best thing for me to do, which was always my answer, and I'll bet you there's some out there that's your answer too, was to jump right back into work. And that would be the best thing for me. And what I discovered is I couldn't do it. I called my partners, I called my clients and customers, and it was like I was having this out-of-body experience. The conversation was over here, and I'm over here looking at it. And that's when I discovered that I could no longer go back to that old life. And I had to figure out what was next for me. So the very first thing I did is change my life philosophy. My new life philosophy, which I came up with shortly after that decision, is have fun, give back, make money, in that order. I know that if you're having fun and you're giving back and serving, the money will show up. So that's what my life has been all about ever since. And it's what's got me to where I am today. It's what's helped me write my books. It's what's helped me do my retreats and my workshops and what I truly am passionate about. And when I reflect back about how I started doing the retreats in Mexico, it's a big part of my journey and how I've grown. I have a dear friend, Lee Smith, who kept telling me, you need to come to Mexico. You need to come to Mexico. And I finally said, okay. I didn't know what the attraction was. I'm not a big I don't like heat, although I'm in Vegas, so figured that one out. Anyway, I don't like heat, and I certainly don't like humidity. And all I could think about is Mexico, heat, humidity, and then you hear about Mexico being dangerous. And so I put it off for about 3 years. And finally I said, okay, we'll do a retreat. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you've seen any, I've been posting videos on my page this last week about Mexico, but it is truly the big part of my life philosophy now, of having fun, giving back. Because we go there, we step into the life that we want to live, and we figure out what our passion is, and we physically step into that. We give back to the village of Barón in so many ways, not just monetarily, but in our actions. And our next is coming up on October 28th, and I'm just so, every time I do them, I become more excited about it. And that really brings me to what I want to talk about today. So last week I talked about purpose and vision and said how to step into that. And that's what I'm doing. That's where I am right now, is I'm in my vision. And I have learned that you can live your life by design, you don't have to worry about being default, and which most of us do. And in order to do that, the next thing in my Kick Butt Leadership Master course is all about emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is all about figuring out where we are emotionally ourselves and how to manage those emotions, but also how to see emotions in others and how to influence them in their emotions. And I'm not saying trying to push them around or trying to get them to think differently, just recognizing. And if it's an emotion that needs to be uplifted, how do you do that? So Daniel Goleman wrote the mega seller Emotional Intelligence in 1995. And an entire industry was spawned from that book. They now call emotional intelligence EQ as opposed to IQ. And being emotionally intelligent there's 3 areas of it. There's self-awareness, there's self and team management, and there's empathy and engagement. And if we can embrace our emotions and then help others to engage theirs, all of those 3 things are going to be affected. And if you are in business for yourself, or whether you have a family, or you want to start a business, or maybe you are in a corporate situation and you want to have a better relationship with the others in your company, doing something about recognizing your emotional intelligence will go a long ways in doing that. It's been proven scientifically that you will increase your financial results by being emotionally intelligent. You will develop a better organizational culture, and you'll create a more productive workforce, even if the workforce is just you. So being emotionally intelligent, it goes a long ways in making and giving us the life of our passion. It all goes back to living the life that we're supposed to live and what it is that we're supposed to be doing. In my course, I have a survey that I did that's just kind of like to give you an idea of where you are emotionally. And I'm going to read just a couple of the comments in there. I understand my feelings. I can interpret and support others' feelings. I know my strengths and weaknesses. I can see others' strengths and weaknesses. I'm optimistic. I manage stress well. How many of you manage stress well, right? And there's a whole list of others. I'm not going to go into all of them. But I did really well. My score came out 90. And I'm quite certain that 7 years ago, it wouldn't have been anywhere near that because of all the work that I've done for myself. So let's talk a little bit about self-awareness. If we can figure out where we are, and maybe there's areas, maybe we have an anger issue, or maybe we have a stress issue, and if we work on those to make it better, then how is that going to affect not just ourselves, but the people around us? So when we're stressed, we all know that everybody around knows we're stressed. If we're angry, Everybody knows we're angry. So how could we take those negative emotions and turn them into something positive? That is emotional intelligence, being able to manage those. And how do you do that? So you stop. You just stop. You're having that negative. First of all, this is the prefrontal cortex. All of our thoughts come from here. So if you want to interrupt a negative thought or in a negative emotion, first thing, just stop. Stop what you're doing and breathe. Take a minute to breathe. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to do any woo-woo stuff. Just stop and breathe. And when you stop and breathe, you interrupt what's going on. And then how can you take that negative thought? So maybe the negative thought is, I'm not good enough. Well, what if we said and thought about a success that we just had, maybe hours or days yesterday, a little success. Think about that. What that does is it changes the brain from something negative to something positive. And that's going to relieve stress. That's going to subside the anger. And we reframe what we're angry about or what we're stressed about into what is it that the outcome that we want to have. So if it's somebody that, let's say they cut you off as you're driving down the road, instead of letting that keep you going and ruin your day, and maybe there's some words said and maybe some hand gestures, instead of doing that, just stop, let it go. I'm so happy, grateful wherever you're headed. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm headed to this great appointment, or I'm going to go see my kids, or whatever it is. Change the thought. And a little secret is if you do something physical. So for example, tapping your forehead, because that's interrupting the thought. And now you've got this new thought. You can anchor that in. If you don't want to be walking down the street or driving in your car and thinking somebody's going to see you tapping your forehead, tap your leg, but realize you're tapping your forehead. And those things will interrupt those emotions that you're having. So how do we do self-management? Well, that's part of it. How do we do that with team management? Well, if we are a leader, and again, a leader of ourselves, a leader of a team, a leader of our children, if we as a leader get our own emotions in place, our energy affects all the people around us. So I'm sure you've been in a room where somebody is just full of joy, and it's totally contagious. So if you can take your emotions and then realign them with something positive and optimistic, you then take that energy and surround the team with that energy. And there's things you can say and you can do. It's more about connection. How do we connect with one another? And how do we really respond to one another? So think about a situation that you've had that maybe wasn't the best situation. And how could have you taken your emotions and turned that around and then connected with somebody, whoever is involved, in a way that's going to help them change their emotion? That's self and team management. The third area is empathy and engagement. There's really two types of empathy. It's cognitive empathy as well as emotional empathy. Cognitive is when you put yourself in somebody else's shoes. So, and emotional is when you feel what somebody else is feeling. So if you have empathy and you have somebody that has a situation going on in their lives that you want to help them with, if you can step into their life and you can step into where they are emotionally and help them to change that emotion or to think about something differently, then you are helping to guide them. And the way to do that is through engagement, through conversation, through supporting them, through giving a hug, through all of those things, and being able to step into that. So my message today is find somebody, if it's yourself or someone else, that you might need to do a little work on your emotional intelligence, and take some time to do that. By the way, if you have not read that book, you need to read it. Companies have found, first of all, companies will now look at your EQ more than your IQ. As a matter of fact, they found that it's 67% more important to have good EQ than IQ. So this is something that's really important, whether you're in business for yourself, whether you're retired, whether you are wherever you are, having children, wherever you are. This is something that will play a huge role in what you're doing. So I'm going to, I've still got 10% to work on here. So I'm going to take a look at that myself today and see where I can go to make my emotional intelligence a little better. Now, next week, we are going to get to the heart of the matters. We are going to be talking about mindfulness leadership thinking. And that is week 7. So we'll be over, this is the halfway, it's 13 weeks. And I started this till I turned 70. And so this week is the half. On Wednesday, hump day, I'm going to be halfway of my 13 weeks to 70. And I'll be over the hump next Saturday when I come back on. So I love that you're joining me with this path. And God, I'm getting emotional again. I think I've gotten emotional every week. Thank you for being a part of my journey with me. And I'm just really excited about it. So if you want to check out how I'm giving back and how I'm really living my have fun, give back, go to my Facebook page and check out the health, healing, and success retreat that I'm doing in Mexico. Love you all. But oh, by the way, you can go to my webpage, kickbuttleadership.com, and you can get 7 daily mindfulness practices that you can do. They're totally free. Go on there, download them. And maybe we'll talk about that because we're going to be talking about mindfulness thinking next week. So we'll talk about those 7 daily practices next week. And again, the website is kickbuttleadership.com. And I'll see you next week. Love you all. Bye now.